Hey guys, welcome to another Into the Toybox Sunday Night Live. I hope you guys are all having a good time tonight, this weekend. I know I've been having a good weekend so far. So I guess let's bring out our co-host, Gatorade Bob.
Hello.
Hey,
How's everybody doing?
I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Doing good. Yeah.
Good
I
deal.
mean, it's
Good
hot
deal.
here and where I live, but air conditioning's working. So,
That's all that matters. The
yeah.
AC is working. That's all that matters. We've had a little bit of rain come through the past couple of days, and it's not been as miserable as it could have been. So
Oh, that's good.
that's a good thing. Like the other night,
Hmm.
like Wednesday night, it was 85 outside or something, but the humidity was like non-existent, and it felt
Mm.
cooler then
Nice.
than it did the next morning when it was like 75 in the morning. Because the humidity
Mm.
was back then, so it was like, yeah, it's
Right.
summertime, man. So
Oh, yeah.
anyway, so you having a good weekend?
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Good. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. I'm assuming the show with Will went pretty well this afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did he give
Yeah. He's
away? Did he give away the kitchen sink?
not the kitchen sink, but the bathroom sink.
Okay, okay.
Um,
It's like
so the guest
he
bathroom sink, not the
looked like
master
he was
bathroom.
like reaching into Santa's bag, kept pulling out stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
geez, man.
Yeah.
He's
He
like
had some
a
cool stuff
thousand
to give
a
away.
thousand
So,
subs. He's gonna give away 1,000 presents. You know what I'm saying? It's like there was a lot. There was a lot.
well,
Um,
at the end there, he started like, we'll just put all this in a pile, and there we go. It's
yeah.
like
Okay. Well,
the
good deal.
whoever won the Epic Hero, I forget who it was, but the Epic Hero winner scored well.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hey, so we've got a great guest for you guys on tonight.
Hmm.
I will go ahead and bring him out. So this is Chad LaForce. Hey,
Hey,
Hey everyone,
how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. So nice to see you guys. Thanks for having me on tonight.
Well,
oh,
thank
thanks for
you.
joining us.
Thank you for joining us. Um, so I guess before we get into anything, Bob, you want to touch on the chat, I guess, for a second,
Yes, I do. We've
see who's
got
in there.
Bjorn here with us, and
Bjorn,
with all of his little catchphrases.
Smebulok, Smebulok's, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even going to attempt to butcher the pronunciations of these, but
Yeah.
thank you for being here.
Yes, Bjorn, thanks.
Nebulous Nexus is here with us.
Hey,
How
what's
you
up?
doing?
What's up? What's up? Thanks for watching.
And Nebula and Bjorn have a little chat, and we get down to Rad Toys Galaxies. Hey, hey.
Brad, what's up, man? Hey, hope the concert went all right Friday night.
And Fat Red Foo is here with us. How you
Foo,
doing?
foo. He's been
Yeah.
like working overtime on his build. So uh,
Yeah, it's been some cool stuff.
yeah.
Michael, how
Um.
you doing?
Hey, Michael. Hey. All right.
And that gets us caught up. Oh,
Okay.
hey.
Okay. All right.
And Fat Red Foo says hey to
Yes.
chat.
Yes. Yes. So I guess, do you want to maybe sort of give a background on yourself a little bit first before we kind of get into some of the pictures and stuff?
Sure. I think the thing in kind of the toy industry, specifically in the O-ring toy industry, where people might know a little bit about me, aside from what we're going to talk about with this Kickstarter, is that I submitted one of the designs for Operation Recall that was selected in the first wave when they did that contest a couple of years ago. And of course, now that Kickstarter came and went, and they're now looking, I believe, at shipping those toys first quarter next year, or maybe even late this year. So I submitted the cadaver concept, pardon me, which was funded with the Kickstarter. It's coming out wave one. I think it's one of the first 6 or 8 figures that's coming out in the early wave when people are going to get their rewards from that first Kickstarter. So that was me.
Awesome.
That project's been a ton of fun, and it's been great to kind of, because if you submitted and your design was selected, you get a little bit of behind the scenes stuff of what's going on. So I've seen maybe a little bit more than I guess
Cool.
kind of the general public. But honestly, by now, with as much as Carson has put out about the backer kit and stuff, people have probably kind of seen about as much as I have. I think the full designs for Cadaver and a bunch of others are are out there in public and that type of thing. So that's been very, very cool. So that's kind of my most well-known thing, I think, of late in the O-ring industry. But a little bit about me, I was in the video game industry back around 2012. I was creative director of a multiplayer online battle arena game. I actually started on a game called Heroes of New Earth.
Okay.
It was kind of the predecessor to League of Legends. League of Legends, one of our competitors, became the most played game in the world. Really the exact same game as us in terms of just some different characters and stuff. So I started on a really, really high profile game where you had, you know, 1 million consecutive players from time to time across Southeast Asia and this type of thing. And then I became creative director of a video game called Strife, which was kind of the predecessor to Heroes of New Earth. And what I did with that is I created a lot of characters, and I made a lot of art and a lot of illustration, did a ton of world building in the video game industry. But that industry is very tumultuous, and I was living in Michigan at the time, and it was kind of the only video game company within a couple thousand miles, and my family didn't want to move. So when that game wrapped up and they laid off most of the staff, I, of course, was one of those, because if you're done developing the game, you don't need me if you're not making a new one. Right. So I went and did, you know, other stuff here and there, Kickstarted a little comic book, got it funded, this type of stuff, and just kept working on, you know, my different artistic loves and that type of thing, which brought me to toys, because I've always loved G.I. Joe. I've always loved specifically the O-ring action figures, not necessarily about the O-ring that's inside them, but about their form factor and the way they move and their points of articulation. Right. Mm-hmm. You know, I started as a kid with Star Wars. We might talk a little bit about Star Wars tonight. Then I got really into Motu, because when Motu came out, my older brother was like, here's Skeletor. And I was like, Skeletor's freaking dope. Can I get more of these, right? And then G.I. Joe hit. And G.I. Joe first was kind of a slow burn for me. I'm pretty sure the first figure I ever got was either Tripwire or Stalker, maybe, you know, before. But once I held Snake Eyes in my hand, that first version of Snake Eyes, I'm in. This is my new toy. And Transformers came out at the same time, and all that type of stuff. Flash, actually, I think, instead of Tripwire, was my first one. But, you know, it was so long ago. I was 7 years old or something like that in 1982 or whatever. So G.I. Joe made a big, big impression on me, and I still collect the originals. I still go to flea markets and vintage shops and stuff and pick them up. I was just looking at some at my local comic shop the other day, and I buy them from time to time, just kind of building my collection from my childhood, which sadly got burned down in a garage fire back around 2007 or something.
That's heartbreaking.
Bro, my Rattler, you know, all the G.I. Joe base playset, all my figures, everything, my Soundwave Transformer, you know, my Holy Grail Transformer, with just all up in a day in a garage fire. But I'm rebuilding it, and that's fun. But winning one of my entries into the Operation Recall, you know, I've got so many designs for characters from having worked in video games and everything else that I thought maybe people would like to support, you know, a few of my concepts and designs, because people seem to really like Cadaver. So that led into Easy Kill 9. And here we are today then talking about one character from that Easy Kill 9 universe, easily the most popular character, my undercover advanced recon character, and her name is 30. So that's a brief, you know, where Chad's been his whole life with toys.
Well, I hate to say that misery loves company, but so my story was I was probably 13, 14, something like that. Had just sort of gotten over toys. You know, I had the whole G.I. Joe collection from probably 82 to, I don't know, probably 88, somewhere around there. I had a crap load of Transformers. I mean, I was an only child for about 8 or 9 years. And so I pretty much just, my dad, he's the reason why I probably collect action figures, but he bought them all for me, right? So he was kind of digging them too. And so he used to like paint little miniature figures, you know, like army figures and stuff back in the day. And so I had a huge collection of Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Transformers, the Holy Trinity, you know. And a crap load of Masters of the Universe, you know. And I wasn't spoiled or anything, but I was lucky, right? I was lucky my parents were like, they were fine buying me that stuff. Anyway, got a little bit older, found comics, X-Men. That was it at that point in time. I was a teenage kid, found X-Men. I was like, this is my group right here, And so we had a shed out back, a storage building, I guess. And so we would keep all of our older toys and stuff like that in the shed or whatever. And so I had them in cardboard boxes and stuff like that. and so it was leaking. And so we had a weekend. We're like, okay, we're gonna take everything out. We're gonna clean it out. We're gonna fix the shed, and then we're gonna like put all the stuff that kind of got wet and stuff into different boxes or plastic or whatever. And so we pretty much brought all the toys out, and I ended up putting them in black trash bags just because it was like we didn't really have a whole lot of boxes and stuff at the time, and so we were just going to leave them out, on the back porch, and I was going to put them back in, the next couple of days or something. Well, it started raining, and somehow they got moved to the front porch or the carport, and my mom had her dad come by like the next day to pick up trash to go throw away. And so, so all of those figures and toys got thrown away. Yeah. I was like, at the time, I was like, seriously, seriously, you threw that stuff away. Nobody thought to look in the trash bags and say, why is this stuff so heavy for? And so I blame my mom for a lot of years about that. I was like, I cannot believe you let him throw that stuff away, and so I finally just like, whatever, and so my only thing is I hope somebody like found that stuff somewhere, I hope it just didn't get thrown into the, the trash dump and just got covered over, all kinds of other crap and stuff. I hope somebody somehow sort of put eyes on that or something and maybe gave it to their kids or something. That's the only thing. That's my story that I'm hoping happened, because it was horrible. I still think about it to this day, like, not that I'd probably be doing anything really with all that stuff. I probably would have even sold it, maybe some of it by now or something, but it's like, I at least had the opportunity to do something with it on my choices versus, not having a choice with it,
Right.
And so with that, I pretty much washed my hands of all things Joe Ring, G.I. Joe O-Ring and that type of stuff, because it's like I'm not ever going back. I'm not trying to get that collection again, because I don't know if you've noticed those prices of some of those figures have like gone up so much, since I thought about maybe re upping the collection again, but anyway. I had G.I. Joe was definitely my favorite figure line, hands down. I mean, I love Star Wars and everything. Hey, Will, great show today. But G.I. Joe just really had so much, I guess, energy, and they had vehicles, and they had, the play sets, and there's just, I don't know, there was something that was different about G.I. Joe versus Star Wars and stuff, you know.
Besides just knees and elbows.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably what it was. They were the more modern action figure,
Yeah.
And then when they got those swivel arms, man, it's like, oof. That
really
changed the game, But yeah, that was pretty much my my love of action figures and stuff. The G.I. Joe, like I've like since then I've always thought about going back and picking up a couple. You know what I'm saying? And anyway, but and I have there's a few floating around here somewhere that I still have that were in part of my my favorites collection that never made it to the shed. So I have a few still left over, but it was a great figure line.
I remember when those swivel arms came out, I started trying to update some of my Micronauts figures with those arms to get them just as articulated.
Yes. Yeah, I think the fact that probably it was because it was modern, and the cartoon was, pretty good, for at the time, I think.
And the comic book.
We could definitely wrap our head around military guys fighting, bad guys versus the Force and all that stuff. As like we loved it, but it's like you could create all kinds of battles with G.I. Joe, and like I said, the elbows and knees bending definitely were they were definitely leaps and bounds more articulation than Star Wars figures. But
Bob just brought up the comic book there. I remember as a kid having some friends in the neighborhood, and we'd all watch the cartoon. We all had Joes, But then we'd go buy the comic, and there was always this sort of like two different worlds, when you're playing with a character and you're trying to say what the lore is of that character in this given battle. Did he do what he did in the cartoon, or is this like
yeah,
the comic
exactly.
book? Okay, this is like the serious lore. The cartoon's a little
That's
bit.
right. Yeah.
Over a little bit.
Yeah, the cartoon had some cool moments that you would probably replicate, but the comics was definitely like the lore for sure. But
I
yeah,
love Cobra Commander, so much more in the comic. My only gripe, I think, with the cartoon as a kid was that for me, that action figure, because I had Coco before the cartoon really hit. And in my mind, he was just like a brutal, lethal killer. Yeah. The guy runs a terrorist network. And then you get him in the cartoon, it's a bit of a bungly, so you got to kind of switch to Destro because Destro's like, Cobra Commander, you must be crazy, all this type of stuff.
Right.
But then Serpentor came out, and I'm like, that's what I thought Coco was, So the cartoon was a little all over the place. And I'm not nitpicking it because I love it, but the comic book was a little bit more like, nah, this is kind of like who Cobra Commander might really be, if he really was running this organ. It was just a little bit more mature, I think.
Yeah, it would definitely.
Larry Hama did a great job writing that comic book.
For sure, man. It's like,
and follow up on just real quick, follow up on Bjorn's thing about the cartoon being just a commercial for the toys. Yes, but so is the comic to a point. Yeah. Like Larry tried to keep it as serious as he could, but Hasbro would say, "Hey, we've got this new Pogo thing, and you got to work it into the comic,"
Or Raptor, or whatever. Some of these characters he just really was like, really, I've got to do this now.
Or what was the other guy's name? The hypnotist.
Crystal Ball.
Crystal Ball. Yeah. It's like all these guys. I mean, it's like I think you just kind of loved it because it was like some of the stuff was like, okay, seriously, it's like this guy is really going to be, formidable for the G.I. Joes, you know what I'm saying, or something like that,
And a twist of irony.
I'm right there with you, Bjorn. I like
Raptor too. Yeah, I do. In a twist of irony, we talk about the cartoon really just being commercial for the toys. Just a little tidbit, and most of you guys will know this. It was, but the funny thing was, when they made commercials for the toys, or the cartoon was a commercial for the toy, but when they made actual commercials, they were under all these laws about what you can do with guns and stuff you're selling for. So they had to make the commercials about the comic book.
Yeah.
Sell the toys, which is a bonkers thing to think. To do what they wanted to do in the commercial, they had to sell the comic because that was literature. You could do anything you wanted. But it was meant to funnel people, back to the toys. Those guys were doing some hat tricks back then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. To me, it was like if you were a fan of G.I. Joe, you were a fan of all of it, right? You couldn't wait to see, the commercials because that meant new stuff was coming out. You know what I'm saying? And it was like they definitely had probably the best toy commercials, just because they had them in hand and they were actually like playing with them and stuff, and so that was pretty cool. And the G.I. Joe comic, that's the first comic I ever started reading. And so that sort of segued into the rest of the Marvel comics and stuff. It was the I guess your gateway drug, because it was a Marvel comic and it had all the like advertisements of different Marvel comics in there, and I was like, oh, that looks cool, that looks cool. Yeah. And so
you're absolutely right, because I started buying the comic because I love Joe. And then I start loving Marvel, and it opened. All of a sudden, I found Iron Man and the X-Men and Silvestri's art on with Claremont on the X-Men, and all of a sudden I'm like, where are the toys for all this? It really was a brilliant gateway for Marvel, I think.
Right? Yeah, it was. I mean, and probably, I don't know if I'd say it's probably the best figure line that was ever made, but it's probably right there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it lasted 12 years, so they had to be doing something right for a toy line.
Yeah, and I was telling, we have some people that they have another stream called Toy Domination, and it's like they collected them. They were into them still even into high school, and like after high school, and they were like buying up everybody's collections that were getting out of them and stuff, and I was like, man, that's such a cool. I said, I didn't even think about anything like that, I was like, I was definitely like in the comic books then, and I was like, that's a brilliant idea though. It's like, man, it's like all the kids are like getting out of it. You could have been hoarding all these like collections of figures and stuff, and so but anyway, it's like you definitely knew the line was pretty good. But then, towards the end with all the repaints, and all the space stuff and all the, different stuff, it's like I remember at the time I was not really into, I was out of, buying figures, but I remember still going into Toys R Us or Walmart or some of those places, and I'm like, oh, they painted this yellow. I'm like, wow, seriously? And I was like, that doesn't. I said, I kind of like that, I was like, it was like as crazy as it would be on a battlefield. I kind of like, Tire Force or the Python Patrol and that type of stuff, and so anyway, they definitely made their most out of those figures, that's for sure.
Yeah, those guys were brilliant, absolutely. That whole team for the whole run, I have nothing bad to say about anybody that was working on Joe. They're just brilliant creatives.
And as far as the comic goes, it's like they still have had comics pretty much of G.I. Joe pretty much mostly for the whole time, right? It's had its ups and downs and stuff, but it was, to me, it's like it was a super good comic as a kid, of course, because it's like I said, it was you're reading more in-depth stuff than you would ever got on the cartoons for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that Silent Interlude comic, which is really was Hama just pinnacle. I think it was groundbreaking across the industry, really, quite honestly. And if I'm understanding some interviews I've seen with Mr. Hama since then, they were coming to him saying, "You're so good at covers. Can you sketch the cover of these 50 different books? And we'll pass it on to the artist." You see all the covers that were real bangers back then. Mm-hmm. Hama was behind a lot of those. You got Mike Zeck doing this incredible cover, and I love Mike Zeck, but you realize like the design, like the impetus for that was Larry Hama. So he wasn't just crushing it on the Joe books. He was an absolute tour de force across Marvel at the time. I don't think any of us really quite understand the impact that he made, but for me, that's how important that line was for Marvel.
Yeah,
it was an anchor for so many things for them.
Yeah, it was, to me, it's like almost every cover they had was like just a great one. You know what I'm saying? It was like it's like they couldn't do any wrong, at least like the first 50 issues or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like first maybe 35 or so. I remember I was hooked. I had to, and during those days, I was actually getting the G.I. Joe comic by mail away subscription.
Oh, yeah.
And so because I didn't really have a comic book store that was close or something, and so I would, when it got almost that time of the month, I would be like checking the mailbox every day, to read the comic and stuff, and anyway, really, like I said, I think we could probably talk about that all day long about their stuff. But
Larry's Wolverine stuff was Michael. Yeah, Larry's Wolverine stuff. Just I can talk comics till the end of time. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say there are some definitely serious comic book runs that stand the test of time, and so and definitely G.I. Joe. At least the first. I don't know how many issues you'd go, but a good solid chunk would definitely be that one of the ones that stand, especially that issue, the Silent Interlude one. That to me could potentially be one of the the best comics of all time, potentially. But anyway. All right. Well, before we kind of get more into that, we just want to touch base on another friend of ours, the World War Hell Kickstarter is ending in a few hours tonight, and I'm sure that everybody's already knows everything about it by now, whatever. But it's a couple more hours. It's going to end. And so that's
just checked. They're up to just about 117,000.
Okay. Well, anyway, so we just want to touch base on that, and just like I said, congrats to Chris for getting that funded, and can't wait to see the figures coming out. But that's him, and so we're here to talk about you and talk about 30. So I guess. Bob, did you say something? I'm sorry, I didn't know.
I was saying awesome figure.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
I've been wanting this since I first saw the Easy Kill 9 Kickstarter a few years back.
I get that comment a lot.
I bet.
Like, when you going to produce that? And I'm like, well, come help me.
Yeah.
Right, that's right.
Off up the dough.
Okay, so this next month is when the Kickstarter starts, right?
Monday, 8:25 at probably about 9 or 10 in the morning Eastern. Yeah.
Okay, so as far as this character goes, I guess, is this the one that everybody always ask about? When will this one get made, or
Yeah, I mean, more than any of the other characters, people reach out about this one, and the comments that I get a lot from people, which really had me thinking, maybe this time I just put her out there, because we had Easy Kill 9 where there were like 10 or 12 figures, so the funding goal was really big, Then I worked with Craig, a great guy from Zyka Toys. He was a producer, and we kind of just joined together to do the second Kickstarter. And I said, you tell me how you want to do this one. I'll just kind of follow your lead. The creative is there, the characters, what you want to do. And he said, well, let's do this roster right here. And I'm absolutely not saying he was wrong about any of it. I felt like we should do it a little bit differently, but I said, hey man, maybe you don't know, maybe you know things that I don't know. And it still was a good Kickstarter. It didn't meet its funding, and I had a great time doing it. And again, Craig's a really smart guy and doing some really powerful things with toys under Zyka and I think Giant Leap and stuff like that. So go check his stuff out, because he's a solid guy and a friend of mine. But after that second one, we had 30 in there. What became clear was people were backing it to get 30 more than anyone else. Because there were 3 other figures in that second Kickstarter that to me are top tier, really well designed figures. That doesn't mean they're my favorite from Easy Kill 9, because again, I said to Craig, who do you want in here? He said, let's do these guys. And mostly I think his thinking was, these are like army builders, the other 3 figures, and they're really solid. But something about 30 just really, people say, we don't have that yet. Like, I've got figures that are a little bit like Bludgeon. Bludgeon's cool from Easy Kill 9, but I have army builders that are in that, they're in that headspace. Gotcha. But this, we don't have her. She's not in any line anywhere. We don't have an undercover shades wearing skater chick. Like, I don't have it. And also my girlfriend wants it. That was the line that people got. It's like, I'm going to buy 4 of them because I want 1 on card, 2 to play with and do it. And then my girl's getting 1 because she doesn't know how cool toys are and she's going to love this.
Right.
So I thought, you know what? She's the advanced recon operative of the team anyway. She goes in first anyway. Let's put her out there in her own solo Kickstarter. Let's do her first. Let's get this funding goal down so it funds, sort of, if you will, easily and quickly. And then we can talk about how much do people like this. Now it's theoretically, it's a backed campaign. What kind of fun can we have it? And I've got a lot of fun ideas for that. So just get this thing down, distill it down to what people seem to really want first. Deliver on the character itself, make the toys and deliver them, right? Like, here it is. And then say, is there somewhere we want to go from here with Easy Kill 9? That's kind of the plan at this time.
Okay. And so you were basically saying, what was the name of the game that you said you were working on?
I started on a game called Heroes of New Earth back in 2012. And then I was a creative director for a video game called Strife, a multiplayer online battle arena like League of Legends.
Gotcha. So was that League of Legends? I'm sort of hit or miss with video games and stuff. Was League of Legends, was that the one that sort of came out right before, maybe, or right after Fortnite came out or something?
Yeah, League of Legends well before Fortnite. I think Fortnite came out 17. Maybe it was earlier. Maybe it was 16. League of Legends really hit its stride about 2013. People still play it all day, every day. It's still a really, really massive game. It's got a series on Netflix that just went into the 2nd season called Arcane. It's a worldwide phenomenon. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I think I might be vaguely aware of that. Maybe I really didn't. I'm only aware of Fortnite because my kids have played it and I play it with them at times. So it's like I'm more of an old school like I play a little bit of games that are out like the past few years, but like Destiny and Halo and some of those type of games. But I have played a few of the Fortnite matches. Okay, anyway, but usually I'm like telling my kids, I'm like, look, I'm not building anything. You build whatever you want to. I'm just here to like to kill the people coming up because I'm pretty good at like the gunplay part of the game. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I got that. You do what you got to do and build stuff, whatever. But anyway, all right. Well, 825. So I'm assuming. So this goes for a month, right? Doesn't all Kickstarters like go for a month or something like that?
You can set it, I think, real short, but the plan is to do about 30 days.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Bob. You say something?
You're saying cool. 30 days.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's see here. And so, I guess are you doing all these illustrations yourself?
Yeah. So I'm in this. I've done stuff for comics. I've done a little bit of stuff for Marvel in terms of some of their card collections and stuff like that. So I've been illustrating since I was a little kid. This particular style that I'm using right here is kind of unique to this campaign because 30 is, she's not one of these buxom kind of Baroness figures and, tight black leather type of thing.
Right.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? Right. But the idea with her is to channel into a little bit more of like an indie comic vibe, almost like a skater zine vibe, like a little foldable zine or something like that.
Right.
So I'm doing the illustrations and stuff here and trying to kind of tap into that, that urban skater, graffiti kind of vibe. So the art, I hope the art has a little bit of distinction to it for this particular campaign.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I like it. I like it a lot. I was looking at all the stuff that you sent us, and so I like how. So is the icon above the black and the white? Is that the kill team or?
Yeah, that's the Easy Kill 9 icon.
Okay.
And you see right underneath that, that black skull icon, you see the original kind of technical illustration that I made for the modeler that did the model for 30, because you provide kind of like a hand-drawn sketch, and then if it's good and people are rallying around it, you do, because I was a technical illustrator back in 2005. So you fire up Adobe Illustrator and you get everything just kind of pixel and size perfect or whatever. And I have a full turnaround of her, kind of all 4 different views and her skateboard and that type of stuff. So yeah, that's what that last little swatch is over there.
Okay.
Now we got a question here for you. Will she, when you do the Kickstarter, will she come with the gun, the katana, and the skateboard? So
we absolutely have her, the skateboard, and the gun that's modeled, right? Again, Craig from Zyka did that. When this project funds, I'll reimburse him from the upfront cost he did there, because he, of course, should get a little bit of victory out of this as well. Not a huge expense, but again, Craig's my friend. I want to make sure that he knows that he's appreciated for that. So the only thing we don't have modeled, what I'm saying, is the katana. But one thing that I hope to do with this Kickstarter is get it funded, see what the reaction is, and then put it in front of the community that's funding it. Like, what kind of accessories do you, we can probably do 4, 5, 8 more accessories with this lady. She's coming with a skateboard and a gun. But what about these nunchucks? What about a katana? What about more of a long range weapon? What about a, whatever? I've got crazy ideas, but
gotcha.
It definitely will be the skateboard, and the handgun is definitely part of it. And I think we'll probably get into some nunchucks and silent weaponry, katana, and that type of stuff.
Excellent.
All right, you guys heard that?
I could definitely see her like skating along, just chopping off heads with the katana as she goes.
There's fun stuff with skateboard. I'm trying not to say too much in this live stream, but skaters don't tend to have just one board. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of fun stuff we can do with accessories because she's an undercover agent, right? The idea should be she should have this whole menagerie of stuff that comes with it. But again, I don't want to.
There you go. Yeah, you got to keep some of it. Got to keep some of it secret to until it's time to show it, right?
Right.
Yeah, that is super cool. Yeah. So. Yeah, as I was flipping through some of these pictures earlier and stuff, it's like I definitely think that I love seeing I guess the behind the scenes, of like how a figure gets made and like what's the story, of the figure and all that stuff. And so, I can imagine you have a lot of I guess sketch stuff or stuff, at your house or whatever, sketched out and potentially, of that figure and a lot of other figures too, I'm sure, so,
Yeah.
um,
Someone was asking real quick, can you drop a link to the Kickstarter? So the back door, I'm finalizing what that campaign looks like this coming week. I'm about halfway through that. I don't want to rush it. But for those of you that are asking, last week I was on with Wilhelm Toys. I believe I'm saying that correctly.
yep.
He wants to post that link under the video that we did with him and anyone else that I'm on that I talk with. When that link is available, when that sort of like landing page is available, so
Yeah.
as we're going to this weekend, maybe on this video as well, if you're interested, we can update the description once I have it. But that is coming soon is the short answer, and we'll get it out there. You can go on Facebook and you can search for a group called I'm trying to remember what my Facebook. So few people go there. I believe it's Undead Operator Toys, which is the name of kind of the whole universe. But I'll get the link for that as well, if you don't mind, and we can put that down in the description too. So if you guys come back later in the week, maybe we can have those links ready for you. I just haven't quite finished that landing page yet. I don't want to put it out there before it's zhuzhed and polished and stuff.
So it is Undead Operator Figures, right?
I believe that is the Facebook group you want.
So that's the Facebook group. Okay, so just FYI, guys, Undead Operator Figures. All right.
And you see that black skull in there. You'll see that skull that was the emblem, a slide.
Right. So I just gave a like to that. Okay. Well, yeah, we can definitely post a link on here when after the show for this or whatever, or whenever the Kickstarter goes live or whatever. We definitely do that. Let's see here. Okay, let's see.
While we're on this picture, Chad, do you want to talk maybe about some of the I guess background story or the world that 30 is a part of?
Yeah, so when I was designing this particular slide, you have kind of a FBI dossier here, and you're seeing a single page of it. It's confidential. Some stuff is blacked out, redacted, or whatever. And if you zoom in there again, if you go to my Facebook page, you can see a much better kind of high res version of this. A lot of this stuff is out there on Facebook already. The idea here was just to kind of give you a little bit of a file on 30 in a certain city by that city's FBI, where you get the idea that she ain't working for them. She ain't working for the government. This lady's part of some rogue something. And so in this little dossier, the FBI are kind of surmising like, this lady is maybe linked to 3 deaths in our city, and we checked, and there's sort of kind of a photo of her of deaths and like, who is this person? It's the FBI first kind of saying, why does this lady show up and then a bunch of people die? So there will be more kind of little hints of this stuff, because the idea with her backstory, both on social media and in the campaign, is to unpack it a little bit every couple of days, give you a new thing. And it's supposed to kind of lead into a comic book that I've already begun producing for her, so that possibly one of the tiers you could back on the Kickstarter would be to get the figure and the
okay, awesome.
Yeah, because I don't have to pay a bunch of other artists and stuff to do that. I can just eat the cost, produce it, make it a passion project on my own. I can pass that along to you, if you will, way cheaper than if I have to hire artists and all these other stuff, and everyone else gets paid. So that's the plan. Is to do a really nice comic book and tease it a little bit during the Kickstarter.
Nice. Yeah, I think people always like to have a little bit more when they get an action figure, and some stuff to read sometimes is definitely, because it's like, okay, I got this figure, it's great, but man, I wish I had more, what I'm saying? Like more of the world, what I'm saying? And so I notice a lot more figure companies are like heading that direction and stuff because of that reason right there, I think. People just want to keep getting more into the worlds of figures and stuff,
And she's a gateway. 30 is a gateway into a much broader, because what I did in video games really as creative director, your job is to create the world and the
Right.
lore and how do the characters fit into it. Like if you Google Chad LaForce Strife, Chad LaForce S2 games, you're going to find videos of me talking about the whole lore for whole worlds and things I built. And you can go out and find all that stuff. I mean, I did this professionally, right? But with 30 and Easy Kill 9, there's a whole story that's really kind of deep and kind of nuanced. The basic premise is there's this kill squad that goes in without being sanctioned by the government, paramilitary operators that go in and they clean out undead threats in cities because the government's kind of stymied in these court battles and can't do anything, but people are dying, right? So you have these little squads that have taken it upon themselves to go in and take out the vampire, take out the zombies, take out the lycanthropes and all these things. That's kind of the idea. But where these characters actually come from, how they got recruited, why do we have undead in the cities? Why is the government, why is their hands tied? I've got a whole, years and years and years worth of story that I want to kind of slowly unpack about stuff. So her and her comic book are meant to just not be, hey, this is a really cool toy that your girlfriend might like too. It's meant to also tell, because I love G.I. Joe and we all love G.I. Joe, but my nitpick and some of my good friends that really collect some of their nitpick has been that like a lot of what we get from O-Ring Kickstarters, and I love them all, and everybody out there doing this stuff deserves all the praise and the credit. I'm not nitpicking anybody, but the nitpick about the story is it's really kind of like G.I. Joe also. It's kind of G.I. Joe adjacent, right? What if we took O-Ring and a paramilitary story, but it didn't play out like G.I. Joe at all?
Right.
The government don't want you doing, 100 different questions. Like, what if you're really, really rogue and it's really, really dicey, but if you don't do this thing, people are going to die. It's very, very different from G.I. Joe because you had your good guys, you had your bad guys. Easy Kill 9 has that too, but the good guys they're more Batman than Sergeant Slaughter. You know what I mean? They have to play by this set of rules that G.I. Joe has never played by. So
right. That is awesome. That is awesome. I definitely love the fact that the storyline is not just humans against other humans. You know what I'm saying? It's like, to me, it's like, that's cool and everything, but it's like, I like it when stuff gets weird, and so the weirder the better for me. It's like, I like that,
Yeah.
For sure.
It's going to get weird, bro. It's going to get weird in this story.
Awesome. Let's see here. Okay, here. Tell you what, let's see. Let's go to this next one. Okay. So did you do this yourself?
Yeah, I had my little sketchbook out one day because I created a zine for 30. Part of her lore is when she goes into the cities, the way she gets cred on the street is she goes to the skate parks and she shreds around. People go, gosh, this girl's got moves. But then she also hands out her little zines and stuff, right, that she illustrates. So there's something that the zine does that's part of her lore that I don't want to give away yet. It's actually a really kind of sleuthy undercover tool. But I knew I had to design one of these little pocket foldable 8.5 by 11, skater magazines for the campaign. So this was one of the panels from it, kind of like a grungy ballpoint pen. I drew this while I was sitting waiting for the skate park to open type of thing. So yeah, I did this in my sketchbook and it became part of the zine. It'll be in the campaign.
I love it. I'm sure you have a whole book of stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Pages and pages. Yeah,
that's awesome. That is awesome. Let's see here. Okay, so hold on a second. Let me see this for a second.
You haven't checked Instagram, but I didn't see it.
Okay, so Will, you said you sent the link on I guess on this chat, or I guess let me know, because I'm trying to. I don't know if I have my YouTube set up to where clearly people can't post anything, I guess, without approval, but I need to get that set up, because I don't mind if people post links and stuff in here when we're having a chat. But anyway, I'll get that figured out. Let's see here. All right. And we got another. Let's see here. Let's see. I said to Paul. We posted in comments, but I think you got. Okay. Okay. I don't know. Well, I'll have to check on that, Will, because I'm not real sure as far as. I don't know what exactly how my YouTube is set up as far as people and their posting and stuff. I'll have to look and see. Anyway, all right. Let's see. Okay, I guess that's not it. Okay. All right. Anyway, I like this. So do you pretty much have like, I guess do you pretty much? I forgot you've already might have said this, but so do you have like the comics sort of already laid out that you're going to do, or you are still like you still have something potentially to do on it if you do make one?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to make one if the campaign funds, that will help with this. But I have part of it created, right? What I've done so far is I've said, hey, people really want this figure. Let me make sure the figure's set and ready to go. That's been done for a long time. That was done before the last campaign now. But what I'm doing with this one is I'm saying, what sort of, if we get funded, and I think we really might, what sort of stretch goals might people want? A comic book? Well, let's start making it. So I make a few pages of it, right? So that I can show people this, we can really do this. Like I can do this. We can make the comic book, we can make it fun, and, starting to design some other, just accessories and alternative designs for skateboards and this type of stuff, much of which in the campaign, if and when we get funded, we'll say, okay, well, here's a potential stretch goal and here's the prototype art of what that deliverable might look like, right? So everything's sort of like the figure, she's good to go. You go to that campaign, you back it, that figure is modeled and ready, it's done, But in terms of a comic book, here's the proof of concept for it. Yeah, I did this. Yeah, we can do a really nice comic book, So things are in stages of being done in terms of I have to balance, like anyone would, how much upfront work can I do to get people excited about the Kickstarter, but not spend, a month of my life producing something that maybe won't be relevant if the campaign doesn't hit its stride, that type of thing. So it's in production. This is an actual first page. We get funded and we get that stretch goal of the comic book. This is your first page, not your cover, but this is your first page of the comic book. I mean, this is final, done, proof of art concept and lettered and all that type of stuff. So
awesome.
So I've got a couple of questions here.
Okay.
Zaymon's wondering why O-ring instead of modern construction?
Because
go ahead.
I'll let you answer that.
O-ring is my absolute favorite form factor. It always has been. Again, when I submitted a design that was chosen for Operation Recall, I saw, and also with several other campaigns that were happening at the time, Call Sign Longbow, several others, it seemed clear that people like me really love O-ring. Now I know a lot of people also collecting like the 6-inch figures, the classified scale or whatever you want to call that. I think those are super beautiful figures, but the few times I bought them, they just didn't land right with me for my story and the characters that I want to do. So the decision was really, I think there's a huge audience for O-ring, especially now. I mean, you see Super 7 just launched some O-rings for the first time and people seem really pleased with them. I think it's in a bit of a resurgence. I think there have been some good Kickstarters that showed that there's quite a community for this. And she's also interoperable with your whole G.I. Joe line, right? She fits in your HISS, not your HISS tank, because that's not a thing. She fits in your HISS. She fits in your Rattle. That was if Chad from It's Chad was here, he would have thumbed up that comment. She fits in your OBAT, whatever it is. She fits in your stuff from your childhood, because theoretically you could play her as part of your G.I. Joe team if you don't care anything about Easy Kill 9, and then if Easy Kill 9 goes on and makes other figures and even vehicles, well, now also your G.I. Joes can come join the team, right? This type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it just seemed like an intuitive fit. I'm really happy with the idea. I've held the prototype for 30 in my hands and played with her and skateboarded around with her and stuff. And for me, it absolutely is the right form factor for this toy.
Awesome.
Yeah. Question here. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to go back before. Okay, go ahead. We'll touch on this, and then we'll go back. I just want to touch on a comment that I saw earlier, but go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So they're asking, do you intend later on down the line to do some vampire figures?
Yeah, Ian. Absolutely, all kinds of bad guy figures. Because honestly, I think the real genius of this universe, if it gets off the ground and gets going, is the juxtaposition between these sort of paramilitary GI Joe-ish looking characters with bad guys that are really something else. You know, late with, if you can imagine like your Baroness with the backpack that goes in the back of her, what if those were giant bat wings, that goes into the back of a lady vampire or something like that? And what if one of them's goth and one of them's punk and one of them's actually, from another country and has all that type of stuff. So absolutely there are, and I already have a bunch of sketches and designs and names for those characters, werewolves, vampires, zombies, and quite a bit more. So yeah, bad guys are a big thing. If this line starts to take off, there could really be some fun stuff. So absolutely vampires.
Awesome. Yeah, I was going to basically, just touch base on this one again. But yeah, so for sure, because it's like there's mostly mostly guys are getting made like always 99% of the time before the female figure gets made, and we get that, what I'm saying, but it's like it's definitely got, I think, something special here on your hands, because I think this one will probably do well just because of that thing right there. Everybody has a lot of dudes, what I'm saying, but it's like they don't really have any kick-ass females really to go with them, So
and Red's follow-up comment there. Okay, my mouse isn't working right. Anyway, if you could get that, hang on, I'm not scrolling for some reason.
I'm sorry.
Red's follow-up here. I got it.
Okay, yeah.
And the not be hypersexualized.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, she, the idea in designing her was that she absolutely should be glam. She should look feminine. She should have, what we would always say in the video game industry, because I did a lot of research into what makes characters work well around the whole world. And the number one thing is they need to have attractive qualities. That doesn't mean they need to be sexually appealing. What it means is that at sight unseen, that character needs to feel attractive. You can do this with in Fortnite, or in Overwatch, they've got like that arachnid lady that's a sniper. I don't remember any of these guys' names, but basically you can do that with a really buxom, tight, all this nipped and tucked female stuff, or you can do it with really great hair and a slim figure and some cool khakis and a skateboard. There's a lot of ways to make someone attractive. So the idea was to make her have attractive qualities, but not be a sex kitten. Again, she's an undercover agent. She can be sex kitten if she wants to.
Right.
Her go-to is to both be attractive and blend in at exactly the same time. That's what she needs when she goes in somewhere. So she was designed to that. How can she, if she wants to be invisible, how can she just chill on the sidewalk and nobody notices her? Or how can her hair blow in the wind and she does a cool, shred move on the skateboard, and she's very glam, and her sunglasses are sparkling in the sunshine. She's got that both ways going on. So yeah, that was the idea.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I'm sure you have. I'm not. I never played the game or anything like that, but it's like I'm sure she probably had a different outfit potentially, maybe, or as the kids say, different skins, to potentially, to have maybe.
Part of the reason she's called 30 is kind of this nickname was given to her by her group before she ever wore a jersey that had the number on it, because they basically said she had 30 go-to looks. So this lady comes in all different.
Right.
Is she also a surfer? Because what happens if she goes to LA and she's
right.
Is she also a stunt car driver? I don't know. I'm just, who knows?
Right.
Yeah, there are potentially a whole lot of 30 variations out there that don't break the lore at all. You could do a lot with her. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So like, I think it's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah,
I think that I
I'm ready.
definitely think there's definitely a O-ring resurgence for sure. You know, just because I'm not typically like in like the heart of O-ring or anything, but it's like I tell everybody it's like a good figure is a good figure no matter what it's made. You know, whether it's a O-ring figure, whether it's a 6-inch figure or whatever, a good figure is going to stand on itself. You know what I'm saying? It's going to have a little bit of weather in the background, yes, but
Can I talk
but
to
yes, but yeah,
Ian made a comment.
yeah, sure.
Can I just read? It says there should be a switchblade hidden in
Sure.
the nose and or tail of the skateboard, lower wise, not in the toy. I actually thought about that quite honestly for the skateboard. It didn't seem to work well in the toy. But if you look at some of the art I've released over the past few weeks with this, there's a poster of her where she's doing this really glam kind of skateboard move. But up under her hat, there's a little call out that goes out from it and shows a switchblade as if she's got a switchblade hidden in her hat. So it's definitely the idea of part of her is that the reason she's kind of wearing some baggy clothes and stuff is there's a lot of places to hide some stuff. She's got the cargo pants pockets and the baggy shirt and the hat. There's a whole arsenal hidden somewhere in this lady's,
That's awesome. Well, and not only that, I mean, when you got to use a skateboard to knock across somebody's head, that's not going to feel the best. So, that's a weapon itself, so.
Absolutely. And a shield, maybe, if you're taking.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. You know what I'm saying? A skateboard shield attachment on your arm, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. All right, next picture.
Here it is. This is the poster I was talking about. You can see the switchblade kind of circling out from her hat up there with the call out line.
Nice. Let's see here. Let's see.
And something we had mentioned last week on Will's show, you did say the skateboard was going to have a foot peg, right?
The skateboard
pegs onto
does have the peg. Again, that's all already modeled and everything. It's a really fun play feature because the foot can swivel around on the peg, so you can do a lot of really great kind of skater poses with her with just that one peg. I didn't want to peg up the whole board, for obvious reasons.
Right.
We're trying to keep that form factor slim, and there was an idea of magnets and stuff, but I wanted this particular version of the board, because again, maybe we'll get into some stretch goals, but I wanted this particular one to be really kind of baseline, harken to kind of the old 70s and 80s, skateboard motif before you had long boards and wide boards.
Right.
And all this stuff. So there is one peg on the board. In my experience, it works really well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's see here. Let's see. All right, next picture. All right. Yes. All right. So yeah, chucks on trucks. Yeah. Say that 5 times fast.
Here's a good question for you. Are the wheels going to rotate on the skateboard?
They're just too small. Mm-hmm. The tooling and the metal pieces and stuff that would go into that, again, with a first iteration figure like this, it's all about balancing playability versus how much cost do I have to pass on to someone if they want to back this figure.
Right.
So again, if we have a successful campaign and this first iteration of the character comes out and we do well, those are all things that I would really love to do. Moving wheels on the skateboard, totally. Maybe a magnet instead of a foot peg, totally. But for the first iteration, it just seemed too cost intensive. There just wasn't enough payoff to do it. But it's really an idea, and it's something for the future.
So what he's saying, guys, back this figure, and then if you want to skateboard the moving wheels, we'll talk about it later. How about that?
Yeah.
So get this figure made, and then we'll talk. Everything is on the table after that. Okay.
So Zamon's bringing up a good point here, where he's not into O-ring figures, but he's interested in the comic. Do you think the Kickstarter can be set up so that people can fund, instead of funding, say one of the funding tiers be just for the comic?
I absolutely think that's something that the Kickstarter platform lends itself to doing quite well. So I hadn't thought of doing just a tier, just back one comic or a bundle of 5 comics or something like that. But now that it's been brought up, if I'm understanding Zaymot correctly, that's absolutely something that I'll build into the campaign, because if people love her and the story, but O-ring isn't their thing, why shouldn't you come and back the campaign and get something you want too? It's really a great idea.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then Bjorn's asking a question about a full-size skateboard.
So like an actual, yeah, I mean, again, you're getting into some territory where I sit around and dream about what this campaign could be, and I absolutely want a whole line of her different boards, that she uses as the toy to be available. And I happen to be friends with a guy that does some pretty amazing skateboard stuff. He's got his own clothing line and stuff out of New York, and we're already talking about what can be. But I would love for there to be, her actual boards or a line of 30 skateboards available out there. That'd be super cool. So it's a great idea. It's something that I'm kicking around. That's a whole nother beast, Again, I think if we get in there early, this campaign is set up to get in there early and fun quick in just a few days. The number I have in mind, we should hit it, based on the past campaigns, we should hit it. As soon as that happens, then there's this whole bunch of stretchy kind of goals I'm interested in. And I think through the campaign, you put it out to the community. You say, let me know. Take a vote in this poll. What type of stuff do you guys want to see in terms of stretch goals? But a skateboard, shoot, that'd be cool.
So I do have a question. So for the skateboard or whatever, I've seen a couple of pictures of I guess some of these that you've sent us and stuff. And so my question is on the actual toy skateboard, is it going to be like a certain color that you've already got picked out? And I'm assuming on this one, it'll probably just be a solid color. But you know how a lot of skateboards have like a scene or something underneath it? You know what I'm saying?
So the beautiful thing is, it's not hard at all to come up with a really intricate, fun design for the bottom of the board.
Okay.
And when we initially modeled it and had the painter paint it, I had a design that I had mocked up, and that's what we did for the prototype. But I've made another one now that I like quite a bit more. And when the campaign goes live, you'll probably see 4 different versions, 4 different really nicely illustrated designs. And again, I'll say to the community, let me know which of these you like.
Right.
And maybe there's a tier that comes with this where, as an add-on, you just say, here's 4 different designs. Which 1, 2, 3, or 4 do you like? You pay this much for one. It's a little bit more, if you want all 4 type of. I haven't looked into some of that.
Right.
But it's like a sticker sheet.
Once the board is already modeled, which it is, it's really quite easy to tampo it or color it with different designs on the bottom. And that's something that the campaign will offer from day one. Help me pick, which design you want the first iteration of this character to come with, or do you want multiple designs? That type of thing.
Right. I guess you could pretty much get into all kinds of the sky's the limit, I guess, at that point in time, right? But yeah, that's super cool. I was wondering, I wonder if they're going to have like a, some kind of like scene or something underneath there, and so
that's a big part of the allure of that accessory for me, is to really give it some personality.
Right.
Unfortunately, the wheels aren't going to turn. Bummer.
Right.
Can we put some really cool art on the bottom and make it feel, like it's got some personality? Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. I was not really a skater myself, just because I didn't want to break my neck. I had a friend of mine that was like super good. He was like almost pro, and I was like, dude. But he had a lot of broken bones and stuff over the years too, and so I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like, I'll let you handle that, because it's like And so anyway, and my son wanted a skateboard for Christmas. I didn't know, you're not getting one. And I was like, okay, whatever. And so I got him a skateboard. He was like 8, and I was like, but you're getting the helmet, you're getting the knee pads, you're getting the elbow pads. And so I'm like, I let him go outside.
Those full inflatable suits and
yeah. I was like, okay. I was like, knock yourself out. I said, but just know if you fall down, it might hurt a little bit, but you're going to get back up, And so anyway, so we took like one video of him videoing down the sidewalk, and I was like, all right. And I was like, he never got on again. I'm like, all right, that's fine with me, okay. I'm like, he might pick it up later in life, but I'm marking him safe as I'm getting him to that age at least.
So Zaymot Rogue said real quick, there may be vinyl stickers for the board. Now there's a great idea. You know, the board comes with a certain design on it, but if because I do a lot of stickers, actually, I've designed a lot of stickers, and I've got a really great company I work with. What if it just came with a pack of 6 stickers, and you could, if you didn't like the design on there, you can just vinyl the one, the one you want on there. Then you can kind of pick and choose your own. So that's another great idea that it might work out with. She's going to come with stickers anyway. It's something that I'm already, I'm already sure she's going to come with a sticker pack. But yeah, maybe some of them are custom cut to the size of the board, which is not hard to do at all. It's a good idea.
So Founder Fu here is asking, what should we, is there like a title for the Kickstarter? Or you got that all ready?
30 and 25. It's been on a lot of the art that we put out. The campaign will be called 30 and 25. Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. And is that going to be is that spelled out 30?
Yeah, her name is of course on her shirt it's numerics, but in the campaign and on her card back for her figure and everything, it's always spelled out.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
I like stickers too, Bjorn. I like stickers a lot. I got a lot of stickers.
Cool. That's pretty cool. Okay, well, that's going to be the end of all the pictures and stuff. So definitely excited about that. Like I said, when it goes live, I mean, we will definitely be more than happy to put the link in this potential this episode. And like I said, we'll definitely
on Facebook or on Instagram.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll definitely we'll be talking about it each week, reminding people, that hey, it's live. Go back it, and because that's what we do here. It's like we talk about a lot of stuff about what our friends are doing and stuff, and people in the community. And so we'll definitely be hopefully giving it a push every week that it's live. So
thanks so much.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to mention before we get off here?
No, sorry, this tickling my throat. So the date of the campaign is August 25th. That's on a Monday, so that's a little over a month from now. Okay. The Kickstarter allows you to sort of put up like a template page where people can go and say, hey, remind me, right? So when that template page is ready, I'll get in touch with Bob and everybody and say, hey, here's the template page. So then you can go there and you can in essence say, hey, I'm interested in this. And then when it does go live, if you've forgotten the date or whatever, you get an email and you can jump on and go look at the live campaign. So there'll be a template page in about a week. And then, like a landing page at Kickstarter that'll have the branding and everything on it. But then the campaign itself will go live August 25th. And again, it's just for the one figure. It's just for 30. The funding goal is going to be somewhere between 8 and 12K, which by the past Kickstarter should be totally doable. And I think we're doing a little better word of mouth now. So I think hopefully we're going to fund pretty quick. And then it should be a really great campaign of, just once it's funded, spreading the word. Hey, everybody, this thing's funded. We're going to be good. And maybe talk about some stretch goals and stickers and comics and all that type of stuff. So, yeah.
Awesome. And just to confirm, it's 375 or is it RC4 inch?
3.75. It's really modeled right along the the early GI Joe with the swivel arm and all those points of it. But it will be that exact scale because she needs to fit right in for the collectors that really want to add her into their Joe stuff.
Yeah. Cool.
And most of the people in this chat probably, well, I'm sure they've seen the Instagram page where we were advertising this show. So it's like, if you're not following, you can follow him on Instagram as well. And it's under under Cybertoothk? Is that what?
Yep. Cybertoothk.
So it's Cybertoothk. But like I said, if you just go to my Instagram where Bob and I and Chad have collaborated on the one post. You can follow him from there. So yeah, man. So looks pretty cool, and I hope it funds. It's I always tell people is like, whether I'm into a certain figure or not, it's like if somebody's making a figure, I want the figure to get made, because it's like, whether I'm, a figure of whatever or a fan of whatever, it's like I want all action figures to get made, because I think it's better for all of us when that's the case, and so anyway, so hopefully it funds, and we'll be potentially talking about maybe another one after that.
So we got a question here about the name 30. I think you said earlier it was that she had 30 outfits, right?
That's kind of what her, because in this group you kind of get your name based on what your power move or whatever is.
Right. Basically,
your teammates said, "Gosh, you've got 30 different outfits on hand at any different time," and they just kind of threw out that number, and it stuck. The truth, that's the lore reason. The truth of where she got her name was that I saw her in a dream when I started creating the Easy Kill 9 group some years ago. I had a dream of a little blonde-haired action figure with the number 30 on her chest. I'm like, that's we making that. And then I just took it from there and gave her khakis and a skateboard and the hat and the whole backstory. And when you see something cool in a dream, you just go, "Oh, we're doing that," So
totally.
So that's kind of where she actually got, her name and why there's a 30 on her chest. But then I thought, what do I call her? We're just going to call her 30. She's undercover. She doesn't even get like a proper name. She just gets this
right.
Cool
right.
name. So yeah, that's where the name came from, and people seem to really like it. People think it's a gas, so it's real memorable.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So anyway, guys, on August 25th, the Kickstarter will go live, and so you can back it then. Like I said, we will definitely be talking about it each week on the show. And so anyway, Bob, do you have anything that you before we get out of here?
Well, Red's got a couple more questions here about the baddies. If we get to that point, are they going to be bigger or about the same size, or?
With those bad guys, you have to monsterify them up a little bit. So their accessories and things will still be very conducive with 3 3/4 inch O-ring, but I won't buckle myself into any because a werewolf's got to have like super long arms and massive hands, and so yeah, there will actually be some. You're going to see some fun stuff with the bad guys if we get there for sure.
Nice.
Cool.
You heard it here, guys.
Thank you to oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying you heard it here, so it's like looks like it could be a super fun toy line. So
oh yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing.
You got to get the first one made. You got to get the first one made before the rest will get here. So you gotta pay the bill. So
come out and pay the bill.
Yeah, you got to pay the bill to get more. So it's like all right. But anyway, Bob, you got anything you've got going on right now?
I just want to say thank you to the chat for you guys that are here, and thank you to the replay squad watching later. We love you too.
That's right. Yeah. Like I said, guys, I will have. Like I said, we'll put links and stuff in. Bob, by the way, did you put the link in of his Facebook, or was that you?
Yes. Yeah, I put it in earlier in the chat. I can. I've got it closed, but it should still be in my paste.
Okay. Well,
I'll do it again. Here we go.
Yeah. If you did that, or you had got it from Will.
Yeah, Will send it to me on Messenger. I was looking at Instagram.
I'm gonna have to look in my settings on YouTube so we can have people. Links.
And a reminder, thank you. Die Hard 375 is coming on at 9:05 Eastern. So
okay, all right, yeah. So definitely give him a watch. We had him on the show. Was it last week?
Last week.
Last week. Man, it's been a long week for me. It's like I'm, it's been one of those weeks, I guess. But anyway, all right. So great show, Chad. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Definitely. definitely can't wait to see this figure get made for sure. But yeah, so this is gonna be it for us tonight. But yeah, definitely, World Makers Consortium will be on Friday with the usual gang. I'm not sure if Pirates is doing a show on Wednesday or not, but I know he's not in here, and there was some stuff going on, so I'm not sure if he's going to do a show on Wednesday or not. But we'll definitely have a World Makers Consortium show on Friday night, and then I'm sure we'll come back again next Sunday and we'll have another show. So anyway,
thanks everyone.
but yeah, thanks
for
Chad,
joining us, Chad.
Yeah, and definitely hope the figure gets made. And like I said, we'll definitely talk about it after the figure goes live, and hopefully we can talk about it after it gets made too. So
All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
But anyway, everybody, thanks for watching, and have a good night.